Welcome to Business Influencers. This is Chris Salem, your host. Hope everyone is having a great week. We are so excited again each and every week to have you back. And as you continue to spread the word about business influencers, we continue to grow in size. And more importantly, that we are continued to bring in subject matter experts that are going to help elevate your level of influence and take your business to the next level. We want to thank all of you that have been loyal to us since the beginning and continue to share the show with others to help them take their influence and business to the next level. Today's show is being brought to you today by Alumni Direct. Alumni Direct is a new social media community platform dedicated to bringing alumni together from all different generational types, a chance to rekindle either old relationships from the past or meet new people for the first time. Now, this is a membership program, meaning that it takes all the noise out of social media. No more of those social media notifications that can drive you crazy. This way you can come in and generate genuine, authentic relationships with people that you like to talk to and share content of interest. In addition, because it is a membership program, it offers a wide array of different services for you and your business. And these are opportunities that you would not be available otherwise anywhere else. If you'd like to check them out at alumnidirect.com. That's alumnidirect.com. Well, we have a great show for you today. We're going to be talking about 30-minute solution, retain talent, elevate performance, and thrive. And you are in for a treat. We're going to be talking with Lisa Goldenthal. She is a trailblazing executive coach, international best-selling author, podcaster, and keynote speaker dedicated to leading high-powered executives to reach unparalleled heights of performance and leadership excellence. With her distinctive blend of wisdom, passion, and contagious energy, Lisa has become the go-to resource for executives seeking to combat stress in this uncertain world we're all living and forge a new path to success in turbulent times. And without further ado, we welcome Lisa Goldenthal to the show. Lisa, how are you doing today?
Chris, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with your audience. I'm great. And you?
Doing great. It's always great here at Business Influencers. And I'm so excited to dive into what you're going to talk about today. And I know you work with a lot of teams and organizations around combating stress. Can we talk about a little bit of maybe a background, get a better understanding of the challenge of burnout and stress at the individual level, and then also with people working together?
Well, thanks for the question. It's really amazing, the statistics right now. We've reached an unprecedented level of stress these days, and we all need to step up and lead right now by example. So many of us are obviously feeling the strain. The demands of modern life, especially in the workplace, have reached these unprecedented levels. We're connected 24/7, and this constant pressure has just led to this state of perpetual switched on mode. And the result is 2 out of 3 people in the workforce feel more exhausted than ever before. It's not just concerning, it's a wake-up call.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I can't agree with you more. And now with this awareness, and this is such a real thing. I mean, job burnout is, it's not something that you should be taken lightly. I mean, this is something that, can be, sometimes it can be life-threatening. I mean, people can, die from these, from over burnout, or it could lead them to do certain things that they normally would not do, and making, some rash decision that could hurt themselves and other people. But, hopefully it never gets to that. But nonetheless, what are some things that you can talk about, what people could start to do in terms of, potential solutions, starting with one thing to craft their emotional well-being moving forward, and doing it in a way that will help to offset burnout?
Oh, thanks for taking this as seriously as I do right now. For your audience, I've crafted a 30-minute solution on how they can retain talent, elevate performance, and thrive. And it's not really that complicated. The 30-minute solution is an approach I've developed to help you practice emotional well-being in your lives. And people have to show up as self-leaders. You need to be self-led as an executive so that your teams are watching what you do. So you don't want to just encourage emotional well-being, emotional resilience, emotional regulation tools that can help everybody. But you want to encourage people to do what you're doing. So take steps for yourself so that you can live longer. People are dying. People don't even take this stress seriously until you realize that when you're constantly focusing on the problem, you're not solution focused, and then you're not sleeping, and then you're way more prone to heart disease, hypertension, diabetes, all the things. So I'd say start with yourself and then lead your team to just take 30 minutes out of your day and encourage them to do the same. Find what just feeds your soul. For me, it's always walking out in nature, if that's even possible for you. For me, it's always meditation, because I've experienced burnout myself. I remember really clearly, 2020 hit, everything changed, and my iPhone and my computer just followed me around everywhere. So I had to set some clear, firm boundaries. So that's all I'm saying. The simple 30-minute solution is set some boundaries. Don't let your phone jump into the bed with you or your computer, and take some time for yourself, and then set that time. Encourage your team to do the same.
That's some great advice. And I love what you shared about 30 minutes. 30 minutes isn't a long time, but it's just enough time that you could do something that could start getting the wheels turned in the other direction. That now when you do something, that could then lead to something else, then to something else that's now helping you to create that harmony versus the lack of balance that you had before. Would you recommend that when people are doing this one-on-one, you're starting with their self-awareness, self-regulation, which are obviously two great key attributes of emotional intelligence, would you say that it would start with one thing? Like you said, like you go for a walk in nature. It could be something like that. Like in 30 minutes, I can go for a walk in nature. I can meditate for 20 minutes and journal for 10 minutes. Would you recommend starting with one thing, and then after you do it over a period of time, then add something else if you feel that's going to give you more focus and more balance and so on?
Well, great question, Chris, because first of all, habits have to be simple, easy, and obvious, according to James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits, great book. So let's say you want to get more fit. You want your team to get more fit. You want them to notice that you're leading by example, because all leadership starts with you. So find simple steps. I mean, you mentioned emotional regulation. That's a really important way to make your team thrive. So let's imagine you and I are playing catch with a brick right now. Stress is everywhere. It happens every day.
Yeah.
So I throw you the brick. What are you going to do? Are you going to catch it, or are you going to react right away?
Well, if it's a brick, I'm probably going to react, because, if I try, if you threw it lightly, I might be able to catch it. But if you threw it pretty hard, it's going to hurt.
Right. Well, what I mean by that is just a simple analogy about stress. It's everywhere. We're living in disruptive, uncertain times right now, and none of us are getting out of this without feeling it. So what I mean by that is, just say something happens and someone throws something at you, literally or figuratively. What I suggest is catch that brick, meaning don't react. Think about what I said about being solution focused instead of problem focused. And if it's really stressing you out, sometimes it's triggered by the present, but it's really coming up from your past fears and stress. And we all face this right now. None of us is alone. So what I suggest is think before you react so that you can respond. And a good way to do that is just with some really clear listening skills and responsible communication skills. So basically, lead yourself first with emotional regulation to repeat back what was said. That gives you time to process. So if I'm hearing you correctly, the stock market crashed right now. Is that what you're saying? And that gives you time to then respond with ability. That's like responsibility communication. So I'd say start with one thing. If you're going to walk for 10 minutes, you're going to walk for 10 minutes. If you're going to encourage your team to communicate better, you need to communicate better. If you want them to be fit, and then you need to encourage these simple steps in wellness so that you're not just on metrics of performance, but you want to be about retention. How can I retain these people? It's so expensive when you have to start replacing and training people again. Don't you agree?
I totally agree. Totally agree. Because, it's evident that retention is a major issue, and onboarding is also, it can be, it's an issue in itself because it's quite expensive. But if like you said, if these are things that you can put into play to be more proactive and preventive, then we're going to be able to save, ourselves, or companies can save themselves a lot of money, and people are going to find more joy in their jobs versus the other way around. So yeah, I 100% agree.
Yeah, I mean, to me, emotional well-being isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. And by incorporating 30-minute solutions and similar practices into our life, we can combat burnout, elevate performance, and ultimately create a workplace culture where people are thriving, your organization is thriving, and you can lead by example. People are going to be like, come work at my company. They want me to go to this talk on well-being. They want us to meditate. They want us to exercise, stand out in a good way.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Such great and valuable information that you're sharing here, Lisa. What would you say the long term, if you look at this now in this 30-minute process, it starts with awareness, like you said, these things don't happen overnight, and you can't force somebody to do something that they're not going to do. But if without creating at least the awareness, or making the attempt to change the culture in your workplace, then nothing will ever change. People have to decide to change on their own, but by giving them that awareness, this can happen. What would be some ideas of some of the things you could share with the audience in terms of awareness that may help them on a group, company level, or even at the individual level?
Well, I'd say that is another great question, Chris. A simple email might show that you care. Get a little
Personal, almost like it doesn't have to be personal to each person, but it shows that, hey, you care about our well-being. I mean, wow, not a lot of companies that I've worked for ever did something like that.
Yeah, I would say leadership is always going to start from the top, and we can all thrive in these disruptive times by doing things differently. Like Steve Jobs always said, think differently. And in order to be a leader in disruptive times, I would suggest, let's put together a wellness program for your company that starts with this 30-minute solution. Maybe send out an email to people just to get the temperature read. Like, what are you struggling right now? How can I support you? Are you interested in A, B, C, or D? Find out, who on your team has potential risk for heart disease, diabetes, unthinkable things. You just need to know what's going on. If 2 out of 3 people in the workplace are struggling with something right now, and this is your company, take some leadership on wellness and just say, what are you struggling with? I want to support you. And then people are going to be like, they're going to feel heard. And that's a really important part of company culture. Employees want to feel heard. They want to buy into your vision, and they want to be a part of a company that wants to listen to them.
And would you say that, when you talk about this, is consistency really important here? Like, it's not something we do maybe once or twice during the year, or let alone once a quarter. But if we did it, not that it has to be every day, but something that can be mentioned, whether if it's weekly, or even if it's a few times a month, or if we have a huddle every day or certain times during the week, we can kind of mention it and just kind of keep it out there in the forefront.
Yeah, it's like any New Year's resolution. It's a good idea for 6 weeks, and then you get caught up.
Yeah.
And you don't really accomplish anything if you don't revisit your goals daily. And if your goal is to have a more engaged, happier, healthier, thriving workforce, for retention and happiness, and just to be known as that company that cares, why not revisit this weekly? Like, if the first step is to take the temperature with an email, then start offering them some simple tools. It never has to be complicated, just simple 30-minute solutions, and build from there. That's like stacking. Habit stacking is great because you start with one simple thing. Like I said,
Yeah.
it has to be simple, easy, and obvious. Like, let's say if you want to do push-ups, one push-up every day to build that habit. It's the same way with promoting employee wellness and reducing burnout and stress and reducing all kinds of retention problems so that you can thrive. Do one simple thing and build on that.
Yeah. It's so true. I see that the companies that put that as one of their core strategies tends to see the bigger picture long term and how that reflects in terms of retention, better onboarding, retaining talent, like you talked about, which is in the title of today's talk, and the productivity and the efficiency go up, because now people find their meaning in some way with their job, and they own their role and duties better, but yet they know when to turn it off and go home when it's required to recharge.
Absolutely. And the importance of emotional regulation and good communication can't be overstressed, because leadership starts at the top. So lead yourself, lead your teams, and just try to make people be heard with just better listening and communication skills that are so simple. As simple as I said, of repeating back what you heard and then asking, is that right?
So yeah, paraphrasing, because I think that's another issue in itself. Communication is always based on assumption and speculation. It's not specific, clear, and concise, and we always think that somebody else it's their responsibility to do that. Well, if we don't ask, we'll never clarify. So I love what you just said there. Can you expand on that a little bit more? Because I think that's so important.
So an example would be, so you're asking me to expand on that.
Just expand, like, where a lot of times people, we just assume that, people know what's important or what we're supposed to do and why we do what we do. But in reality, we don't, that things fall through the cracks.
I just think, for example, like just repeating back what you said, that way you feel heard, just the same way that I could repeat back what you said. Your employees want to be heard. So let's say someone responds by, yeah, not doing that well. And you ask them, so you're saying you're not doing that well. Is that right? And then they could say yes. And you could be like, is there more? Is there something in particular that is causing this stress? Imagine what a cohesive team you could do and have when you do simple things like listening to them, have brainstorming sessions so they can get involved and buy in to the company vision. Like, what do you guys think we should do now? And just also have maybe some team building activities, because what you need in these disruptive times are a thriving company where everyone feels heard, they feel listened to, they look forward to this like team building activity, and they know you care for them because you're leading yourself first by not being that horrible boss that explodes when things happen. And that way they're not afraid to talk to you. So there's so many simple steps. Don't want to take all of these steps. Like, that overcomplicates being simple. Like, a simple 30-minute solution for conquering stress right now is to pick one thing, whatever you think your team really needs, or your family or yourself, and build on that. Consistency, like you said, is the name of the game.
Yeah. Like you said, it's not just in the workplace, it's in our homes, it's everywhere. So that, it's like anything, you practice and you get good at it. It gets easier. And it's so true. It's got to be something 24/7 doing that. What would you advise, like right now, like we got some people listening right now that, that are maybe either know somebody or are responsible for making decisions that can improve their organizations around this particular area. And they know job burnout's real. It's It's been evident, in their workplace, and they've heard that, hey, it starts with you and so forth. But sometimes to move that needle and get somebody to buy into it, especially a company, that's always the hardest part, because what would you say would be the best way to kind of get that ball rolling, you think, from what you see, like in terms of moving things along?
I just think when you look at the cost of retention and training new people, hiring new people, absenteeism, things like that, you just have to think of what's one thing I could do to make my employees happy right now and to make myself happy, because it always feels good to be doing something good. So let's just say, if you think your company would do well with a program about communication skills, start with yourself, be that communicator, and bring in like a 30-minute training on it. So there's too many horrible bosses and horrible husbands and wives out there that don't take these like emotional regulation, EQ skills to heart, and they don't realize the damage it causes. So start with, if you think the gap is in communication, build simple solutions for that. If you think the gap is in wellness, build simple solutions for that, and don't overcomplicate it. Just pick one thing where you feel like, if I just do this one thing, my business will be doing better by 10% by the end of the year. It doesn't have to be massive.
Yeah. Start one step at a time. I love that. Love that. Lisa, anything else as we get towards the end of the show, anything else that you would think that, you think can really bring this full circle to really let people know that are listening and those listening later, why, again, that 30-minute solution can be the difference in everything they're doing right now to live a more fulfilled life, more with that harmony or balance? Anything else that you would like to share that can, really solidify what you shared here today?
Well, I'm all about action, Chris. And I really think that all of you guys have to really take some notes and just do some introspection and just think about, what's one thing that I can do right now? Not like, this is a cool idea. It's all about implementation. So considering the demands of modern life right now and the continuous connectivity that you're experiencing, just pick one thing. Like, I am 100% committed to exercising. I've always been fanatical about small amounts of exercise. I've created a DVD many years ago about shorter exercises for busy bosses, the skinny jeans workout. And then if there's a nutrition gap, I created a book on that too, The Boss Weight Loss. So basically find whatever the gap is and take one small step today. Don't overthink it. Don't overcomplicate it. If it's in communication, if it's in wellness, take an action today and plan a simple 30-minute solution for your company, your family, and yourself so that you thrive.
Wow. Love it. Love it. Such great information. And as I mentioned before, I like to get people to, get to know you better and how to reach out. One more, if you can list one high impact statement, it can even be like 20 seconds or less, that can really it just drives everything home that you shared here today.
Well, I would just say this is for all of us, whether you're a leader at home, whether you're a leader in business. When the going gets tough, leaders rise to the occasion. You need to turn your stress into fuel for innovation, empathy, and inspire your team to greatness. Because remember this, it's your actions in moments of stress that can define your legacy.
Wow. Powerful stuff. Lisa, thank you so much for being here today. I would love to make sure that the audience gets to know you, to reach out personally to you. Anything that you're up to that you like to share, anything that you would like to offer them, please take the time to share with us.
Thank you so much, Chris. I love this conversation. You and I actually met on LinkedIn, and that's really my favorite social media. Lisa Goldenthal on LinkedIn. I have a special gift that'll be in the show notes about how to dominate performance, and High Performance Executive Coaching is my website. So that will lead you to all my other social media channels and my podcast, Whole CEO with Lisa G.
I know I love Whole CEO. I had the opportunity to be on your show not too long ago, and great traction and just a great podcast. So you definitely got to check that out, everyone that's listening. The Whole CEO, WHOLE CEO. So Lisa, thank you again for being here with us today and taking the time out of your schedule to share your wisdom and insights to help all of us take our level of influence in our business in this particular area to the next level.
Thank you, Chris.
Well, thank you. And thank you, listeners, for joining us each and every week here at Business Influencers. Again, if you have any insight to any content that you would like to hear on the show, reach out to us at chris@christophersalem.com. We'd be more than happy to take this information and see what we can do to put something together for a future show, bringing a subject matter expert to help you in this particular area. Till then, everybody, have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next week. Have a great day.